All right, I got a funny story to tell you. Well, I mean, at least I find it funny. So, I began studying the Japanese language like about 26 years ago when I was in graduate school at the University of Hawaii. And at the time, I was studying Asian religions, and you had to have a foreign language for a proficiency in order to get your master's degree. So at first I thought, well, maybe I'll study Sanskrit, you know, read all the ancient texts, Buddhist texts and Hindu texts. Then I realized, Sanskrit's a dead language. You can't use it to like pick up any chicks or anything. There's no one that speaks Sanskrit. You don't turn on the TV and see like a Sanskrit movie playing or something. So I thought that'd be kind of boring, Sanskrit. So then I thought, well, Japanese, because I'm mainly interested in Zen. And, Zen is predominantly coming out of Japan, right? So I thought, yeah, I'll study Japanese. Now, at the time, I didn't really have a big interest in Japanese, and frankly, I'm pretty lazy. So I thought, geez, well, why pick something so difficult? But I thought I'll just take a few classes and take this simple test, and I'll be done with it, right? Well, I took the first class, and I was doing really poorly, so I ended up dropping out of it before the end of the class because I was getting like a D or something. Then the next semester comes around, and I tried to re-enroll in it, but I couldn't because this is Hawaii, and there's a lot of people there who want to learn Japanese, right? So they can like hit on, the female Japanese tourists coming in. So I couldn't get in the class. So what I did was I decided to study on my own because you don't have to actually take a class, you just have to pass a test, right? So I thought, no problem, Japanese, I'll just learn on my own, right? So I got some practice partners and I found tutors and stuff like that, and I started studying. Um, well, what happened is eventually I became more interested in studying Japanese than I was in studying the Asian religion. So I ended up dropping out of graduate school, and I got a job at a Japanese tour company in Hawaii. And I kind of learned on the job, and I studied at the same time. So I've been studying since then off and on. So it's been like 26 years, which may lead you to believe I could be like an interpreter, like at the UN or something, yes, Mr. Minister, this way, dozo, hi, yes, come, Well, I'm not quite at that level yet, So, I continue to study, and I study after work, and I have a tutor that I meet with, and I have some like Skype practice partners, right? Well, the bad thing is I moved back here to Rochester, New York, and there's not like a huge demand for like Japanese speakers in Rochester, right? I mean, it's not Rochester and Hawaii are like a little bit, different, little bit, Um, Hawaii is like the like tourist capital of the United States, and Rochester is like not, you know. So you don't have people like planning their wedding anniversaries and saying, "Hey, let's go to Rochester in January for our wedding anniversary." It doesn't, happen. And you don't have all these foreigners in like their foreign countries saying, "Hey, let's go to the United States. Where should we go? San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles? No, let's go to Rochester, New York." So we don't have this huge influx of tourists coming in. So there's not like this big huge chance to use my Japanese in like a work setting, right? So a little while ago, my boss at work, I'll call him Bob, so I don't like get in trouble. His name really isn't Bob. It's really Bill, actually. Yeah, I'd end up forgetting his fake name. His name's Bill. So my boss Bill, he went like on a tour around the world to see my current company's different like offices and subsidiaries and business opportunities. And one of the places he stopped in was Japan, right? So he's shown these pictures on his iPad of his trip to Japan, and I mentioned, "Oh yeah, I studied Japanese, and I can speak, a little bit." So a little time goes by, and then he says, Dan, I got, you want to translate something for work? Translate something? Wow, yeah, that'd be cool. Like, well, what do you want me to translate? And he says, oh, it's a proposal. And I said, oh, I don't know, like a proposal. I'm thinking like a 10-page detailed proposal. And I said, that's a little bit beyond my abilities, frankly, if I could translate a 10-page proposal, I'd be doing that instead of working here. So he says, well, okay, let me check. Let me check. A little time goes by, and he comes back and says, Dan, no, I found out it's not a proposal. They want you to translate. It's a like a pamphlet. I thought, oh yeah, pamphlet. Yeah, pamphlet's cool. I could maybe give a pamphlet a try. And I said to my boss, I said, well, were you guys gonna like pay like a professional translator to do this? And he said, no, they weren't gonna do that. But I told my boss, that you spoke Japanese, and he said, wow, if you could translate this, that'd be great. I said, okay, well, as long as you weren't gonna like, hire like a professional, I'll give it a shot. I'll, take a look at it. And then a few more weeks go by, and he sends me his boss, my boss, Bill's boss. I'll call him Dwayne. I don't want to. All right, his name's Dwight. Dwight. So his boss, Dwight, sends me this email with an attachment. I open it up, and it's one page, but it's lots of words. It's very technical, very technical. Like my company makes imaging systems for like satellites, like weather satellites, GPS satellites, and like in Japan, we help to make part of the satellite for their national weather satellite. And so lots of technical terms there, like surveillance, monitor. It's kind of like a government military kind of thing where you can do surveillance of cities and terrorists and stuff. Well, it's not like everyday conversation that I use and know. I mean, I don't talk with my friends about monitoring imagery system satellites. I talk about, hey, look at the weather, nice sunny day. I'm not saying like, oh, look at the surveillance satellite tracking the imagery of our movements. So it's not like vocabulary that I possess already. So I decided, well, I'm going to take it to my tutor, and me and my tutor will work on it together. So I'm looking up all these words, surveillance, monitor. And I don't know these words, so I'm looking in my dictionary. And it's got like 5 or 6 choices for each word, right? So I don't know. I'm picking the one that looks the best to me, right? I take it to my tutor on Saturday, and she's looking at it, and she says, well, yeah, that word doesn't really fit in this situation. That word really, it's kind of a little different meaning, so she changes it. And then, oh, okay, what about this word, monitoring? Oh, no, the word you have there doesn't, yeah, that's kind of a different type. So basically, she's like doing all the work, because I don't know these words, right? She's like changing everything I have, and so anyways, I do this with her for like 2 or 3 weeks, and it kind of dawns on me like, this is way beyond my ability, way beyond my level. I mean, my level is like I could maybe do like a children's story, like my dog is white, my cat is black, my cat loves my dog, the sky is blue. Okay, I'm a little bit better than that, but like my black cat right here. And so I thought, geez, what am I going to do? My boss, Bill, didn't make it sound like it was that big of a deal. Like they weren't going to do it anyways. So I figure I'll let a couple weeks go by. I don't want them to think I'm some kind of big loser, quitter. Oh, Dan looked at it for 2 weeks and gave up. I'll let a few more weeks go by, right? And then I'll send them an email and say, oh, I'm sorry, Dwight and Bill, but this is just a little bit beyond my means. So that's my plan. And then all of a sudden, like the other day at work, Dwight, my boss's boss, sends me this email, and he says, Dan, how's that translation coming? I'm like, I didn't even think he even remembered it. I thought he would like totally forget about it, right? Instead, he sends me this email, Dan, how's that translation coming? And so I'm like, geez, what should I tell this guy, So I write back, well, I'm working on it really hard with my tutor. It's a little bit tricky because of all these technical terms, but yeah, I'm working on it. Just let it go. So about 5 minutes later, he emails me back. Whoa, that's great, Dan, because we got some clients that are really interested in seeing this, and it'd be huge if we could get them a document, in their own native language. So how this goes from being like this little hobby side thing, right? Like I'm just gonna work on it in my spare time with my tutor. Now we got like clients waiting to see it, and it's huge for the business. So now I'm like, what do I tell this guy, there's nothing in here about dogs and black cats and blue sky. I can't really do this. So do I just tell them that, or I'm thinking maybe I can like hire like a real translator and pay them and like pass it off as my own work. Hey, yeah, here it is. Because what I'm really afraid of is I'll do this thing. I'll work on it, and even with my tutor, but because I'm not really at that level, what's going to happen is I'll give it to my boss, Bill and Dwight, and they'll look at it and they don't know. They can't tell the difference between, Spanish and Japanese. And they'll look at it and say, wow, this is awesome, Dan. Oh, you're cool. And then they'll show it to the client, right? And the client will be like, oh, who wrote this? Like a third grader? Oh my God, we're not buying anything from this company. It'd be like really embarrassing. But if I like, paid like a real translator to do it and pretended it was me, then it would like spiral out of control, right? They'd be like, damn, we got a 10-page brochure we want you to do by tomorrow, okay? You did such a slam dunk job with that pamphlet that you're a go-to man now for all our Japanese translations. So I don't know. I kind of got myself in a bind here. What I need to do is find like a little children's book to start with, about like white dogs and black cats and puppies and maybe some butterflies or something. I don't know, but the satellites and surveillance. I don't know.